I'm Jeff Roberts, co-founder of Principia Digital Security.
I'm Craig Philippe, co-founder of Principia Digital Security.
And I'm Rebecca Gilstrap, the cybersecurity analyst for Principia Digital Security.
With the pending advent of CMMC assessments against NIST 800-171 cybersecurity requirements, a lot of small and medium defense contractors are recognizing the challenges with demonstrating that the required measures have been implemented. We spend a lot of time performing assessments and helping our clients understand what they really need to do to clearly demonstrate compliance, from not only the technical artifacts they'll need to show, to the necessary policies, standards, and procedures documentation required to support those artifacts.
Great. So let's get started. So in your line of work, you guys often see the challenges that small and medium defense contractors face when it comes to demonstrating that they've met the security requirements outlined in their contracts. So can you tell us a little bit more about those challenges?
Yeah, Becca. So the biggest challenge we always see is the compliance is a full-time job. It takes a lot of resources, takes a lot of personnel, and a lot of dedicated effort to manage compliance. With NIST 800-171, there are a lot of requirements with a lot of subcontrols, and the contractor, the small and medium contractors, have to collect artifacts to actually demonstrate that they're performing the cybersecurity effort to satisfy those controls, right? So collecting the evidence and managing that is a huge lift, and we always refer to the assessment guides that have been published. But the assessment guides are a little technical and a little dry, so it really presents a challenge to the average IT, the lone IT practitioner out there.
Gotcha. So Jeff, what areas are gaps most common when you're assessing your clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the common areas that we see gaps pretty much every time is in the related policy, standard, and procedures documentation space. A lot of companies understand the technical requirements of the controls. They're fairly well explained in the assessment guides. And the NIST 800-171 documentation is very comprehensive, to Craig's point, sometimes overly technical. Many companies don't have the necessary supporting documentation to support the technical implementation of the controls. So there's usually a gap in the understanding between the delta of what you're doing and how you actually need to document what you're doing. Many companies have the appropriate controls implemented, but fail on supporting it with the necessary documentation.
Excellent. So today, Principia Raid is introducing a series called Artifactical Guidance. Jeff, Craig, you guys, can you tell us a little bit more about this series and what our viewers can expect to see?
Yeah, so we're making this series for the small to medium IT department, right? Maybe a lone IT director out there that has to manage and has to figure out what they need to collect to demonstrate compliance. What we're going to do is we're going to review each requirement, and we're going to then briefly go over what the assessment guide is asking for. And then we're going to explain what that means in English, right? What does that mean to the average IT person out there that needs to collect these things and doesn't have a lot of personnel, doesn't have a lot of resources to help them. But if they know what to look for, they are able to lay their hands on it.
So why Artifactical?
Why artifactical? Because it rhymes with practical. And that's the intent of this series is we're going to be giving practical examples of artifacts that will meet the NIST 800-171 requirements and realistically demonstrate compliance. A great example, we talked about policies. One of the first chapters that we're going to talk about is a little bit of what's a policy and a standard and procedure. So as we go through each set of requirements, you'll understand not only what is the artifact you need to collect, but what documentation is required to actually demonstrate compliance. We'll talk about the intention behind the controls. So if you don't necessarily have the exact artifact that we're suggesting, or the screenshot of your technical implementation, or the dashboard we'd like to see, you can actually spend a bit of time thinking about how you could meet the requirement and what documentation would support your implementation. So stay tuned for more episodes, and let's talk compliance.
Still have questions? Principia Digital Security can help.
Still have questions? Principia Raid Digital Security can help.